My name is Rahul, and I will be your moderator for this exciting session. The future of work is AI powered. Today we are privileged to have Mr. Kalaf Hadad, Senior Director of Learning and Development AI CERTs. He'll be leading this discussion. Let me just give you an understanding of who Kalaf is. Kalaf brings 30 years of experience and expertise in training and certification space, having facilitated thousands of learning events across the globe in technology and in professional domains. He has also been a part of he has also co-created courses and certification exams for major software tycoons out there, and currently he oversees specifically a program called AI CT program, which means AI CERTs Certified Trainer Program, which is ensuring the highest standards in AI and certification. I'll just give a quick brief to each and every one of you what we are going to do in this webinar, and I'll not take much time and hand it over to Khalaf. So in this webinar, Khalaf will guide us through the current state of AI, its importance onto the workplace, how how we can prepare a AI driven future, and he will also talk about how what are the essential skills needed with respect to the way AI is changing right now. I mean, the way AI has been since inception, how AI has been changing. So he will also talk about the importance of ethical AI practices, and then obviously there are going to be interactive elements where we would want you to have active participation with respect to the polling that will happen, with respect to the Q&A session that will happen at the end. And I'm going to be your host for the entire 1 hour. We'll ensure together that this 1 hour is fruitful for everyone attending this session. So without wasting a lot of time, I'll quickly jump on to Khalaf and hand it over to you, Khalaf. uh, or I think the floor is yours. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rahul. It's great to be here with everyone joining from wherever you are around the world. This is an exciting time. I think back on my own journey over the last 30 years and how technology has evolved considerably. And as I said in the preview, AI is a more exciting paradigm shift than any I've seen in my 30 plus years in this industry. So I'd like to put up that first polling question just to see where you're at on your AI journey. Now, historically, AI has been around for decades. In fact, the term was coined back in 1950, but I don't think too many of us were thinking about AI in 1950. In fact, I wasn't even invented in 1950. So if you could fill in the polling question there just to see where you are on your journey, if this is the beginning of your exploration, or if you've been thinking about it for a while, or if you're one of the early adopters, it'd be kind of fun too. So we're going to leave that polling question open for just a bit and see the dynamics there. Just getting started, okay, less than a year. Just getting started, okay, very good. And a couple of you more than a year, good. So we'll just go ahead and leave that open for a bit. The potential that AI offers is incredible, and it sounds something like too good to be true. If you've had your ear to the ground, if you've been reading the news articles, listening to the conversations around it, it seems like we are on the verge of this great new world, to borrow a term, that is going to reduce the number of hours that we have to work. It's going to take care of a lot of the toil and the grunt work, and free us up to do more human things. And so that's the big promise. So thank you for answering that poll question. Looks like most of you are early in your journey and are recognizing that it is going to be an important part of your future. In fact, let me say it this way, our future. But first, I want to tell a story to put this in perspective, because there was another big paradigm shift in industry about 50 years ago, 55, 60 years ago, when automotive manufacturers recognized the value of robots and introduced robotics to the assembly line back in the late 60s, early 70s, as robotics research was coming into its own. And robots promised a lot of things. They promised better return on investment, protection against injury, as you can see in this picture here, using robots in places where it would require several people doing some pretty heavy physical labor and running the risk of injury. And so automotive executives looked at that and said, wow, robots are a great thing. However, for every robot that went down on the line, that just meant that there was a bunch of automotive workers that suddenly would say, hey, I'm being replaced by a robot. Robots don't have families to feed. What's going on? And there was a lot of tension between the labor unions and management as robots were being introduced to the assembly line. Well, the story goes that, and I don't know if this is just me being old and forgetful, but the story goes that my uncle, who worked in the assembly lines in the assembly plants, he came across an ad in a break room, said free robotics repair courses, called to sign up. And he took the robotic repair courses and he had a job. And when I heard that story, and again, whether it's attributed to him correctly or just given to the age, the principle is sound in that committing to being a lifelong learner means that you'll always have something to do. There's always something to learn, something to grow with. And with the massive paradigm shift that AI is presenting, now is the time to learn about not what's coming, but what's already here. You see, as I mentioned already, the term artificial intelligence was coined back in the 1950s. So we've had this discipline for the last 70 years. And AI has gone through decades of growth and stagnation, largely because as in the early years, as researchers were considering what artificial intelligence required, they ran up against limitations of computing power or available data or ways to manage the data. And so it would go in fits and spurts. And by the time that hardware and compute power and data storage was able to catch up, then the next big leap in artificial intelligence was made. So there was a what they call an AI winter, and then in the 80s there was a resurgence, and funding went back into AI to do some research, and then it got quiet again, and then it resurged again. And now what we've seen in the last 10, 15 years with the advent of cloud computing and data lake houses now. It's went from data to big data to data warehouses, data lakes, now data lake houses is the term. But where is AI today? It's a big buzzword, and it has arrived everywhere. Consider those of you with credit cards. If you've gone to a credit card website, as I did recently, I was met by a chatbot, and I was trying to cancel the credit card. And it was interesting as the chatbot was trying to convince me to keep the credit card. And then when it realized that I was really serious, it said, okay, I'll get a human being on the line for you because I'm not authorized to cancel your credit card. So that's a use of AI to automate some of the tedious nature of initial customer service interactions, and yet recognizing a boundary where human intervention is required. So that gives us some insight as to the value of having an ethical or a transparent AI solution, one that does not completely remove humans from the equation. It rather shoulders some of the burden and recognizes. So final decision making does fall to the humans. Another fun place is when we see autonomous vehicles. We've heard a lot about that from companies like Tesla and Rivian and Polestar, electric vehicle companies that said, well, we've already got the electricity and the electronics. Let's do some automation with it. But seeing it applied at big box warehouse stores where these autonomous cleaning robots roam the aisles and just clean. And if they detect a person too close, they stop and they continue to make noise. So these self-cleaning robots, and some of you might have those in your houses with the floor cleaning robots like the Roomba and the Shark that go around and clean. So our artificial intelligence is there already. In fact, even my refrigerator now has a smart AI mode that was just introduced a few months ago. I don't know why my refrigerator has an over-the-air software update, but it did. And it informed me is that according to the smart AI feature, I'm saving a few kilowatts of electricity every month, which amounts to about 50 cents to $1. But I suppose in this day and age, every little bit helps. Another place that AI is in use today that you may have leveraged is language translation tools. And those have just been getting better and better. I remember in the early years using a tool like Google Translate, left something to be desired. And it was sort of a fun exercise to translate something from English into another language and then back into English for me because I'm a native English speaker, and do that 2 or 3 times to see what would happen to the translation, and the translation would deteriorate. Uh, what I've seen over the years is that those translation tools have improved, and while I still would not use them unconditionally, they are far better and they're far further ahead than they have ever been. So they're much more accurate. But an interesting one that I came across this week was in drive-throughs at fast food restaurants. Apparently, Taco Bell has plans to expand their voice AI technology to drive-through locations. So instead of the teenager with the headset taking your order, it's an AI listening to your voice, understanding what it is that you're ordering, and then reading it back to you to make sure that it's been heard correctly. And the nice thing about that is that the AI won't get frustrated with you repeatedly changing your order. The AI won't get tired, and the AI will repeat back to you so that there's a confirmation. So some pretty interesting ways in which AI is already being leveraged. But seeing where AI is, and this is just a small sampling of the hundreds of applications of AI in the world today. But here's the cold hard fact, and this is what we want to appreciate, is that AI isn't going to take your job. Rather, someone who knows how to use AI will. And I want you to have that sobering thought in your minds there, that AI isn't going to take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. In fact, if we were to take a look at a couple articles, here's one that says AI could replace 2.4 million jobs in the US by 2030. Well, what happens to those jobs that are replaced? Well, like the robot repair technician, new ones will be invented. So AI is going to be creating new job categories while obsoleting other jobs. There are jobs that, like candle makers that don't exist today. There were great jobs in the 19th century. If you were a candle maker, you had a regular career to go to, but people don't make candles as a consumer thing. It's an artisanal thing today. I understand that. But when it says there AI could replace 2.4 million jobs, those 2.4 million jobs are of such a tedious nature that they can be assigned to a machine, thereby freeing up 2.4 million people to learn other jobs. Well, what other kind of jobs will there be? Well, here's another article that says that over 97 million jobs are set to be created by AI. 97 million. Well, if we're displacing 2.4 million workers and we're going to be creating 97 million jobs, I don't know how we're going to fill that. I guess we're going to have more kids and raise them quickly or something to get them in there. But that's the good news, and that's the perspective I hope to engage you in, is that the job market is changing, and if we don't acquire those AI skills, then we will end up being obsolete. Yeah, even something as random as being a registrar for a shipping company that moves art throughout the world. You're like, is AI coming for my job? Well, no, but AI can assist, particularly in things like tracking your shipments, ensuring that if there's an issue with the climate-controlled vehicle for shipping, that it reports back to you and that you can respond and address it in a timely fashion. So there's always some way in which AI is going to intersect with whatever job you have. And if you are like my uncle was in the mortuary business, well, you go for a lunch run at Taco Bell and you're going to run into AI there. So there's always that. So we have a second polling question up for you, and that is, what best describes your current work situation? Are you a business executive or decision maker? Are you an IT professional? Or are you another non-IT professional, as it were? So let's open up that polling question and see where we land on that spectrum. All right, no answers. Maybe nobody works. I'm kidding. We all work. What we do. All right. Executives, IT professional. All right, 50-50 split there. Other business professional. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's going to be that. Okay, so we're kind of distributed there. Outstanding. Huh. Gotta say, I was not expecting it to be so evenly distributed on that question. Yeah. This is an important thing to appreciate because and the reason that we broke these categories out is because uh, initially our encounter with AI is that it seems like a nerd thing. It's a computer thing. It's an IT thing. But the reality is the impact of AI means that it's really an executive decision maker HR type of a conversation that's going to be had. And that's it's going to be a lot more of the HR and the C-suite that's driving the conversation, understanding what that impact is on business. And because of that, a lot of people who would otherwise wait for technology to happen to them need to get involved in the conversation to be able to address issues of ethics, such as are we excluding anybody uh, from the conversation? Are we being inclusive? Uh, are systems using good data that is representative of our community? And it sounds a little bit of like the DEI type of a thing, diversity, equity, inclusion, but it's not merely a DEI initiative. It's the reality that to get the fullest picture of what's out there, we need to make sure we have a good data set, that we talk to a lot of good people, um, and invite them to the conversation so that it's as broad as possible. As you can imagine, and part of the reason that you're here at this webinar is because there has been so much written about AI, it's hard to know where to begin. But to summarize, there are a number of great resources out there. One of the most thorough resources comes from Stanford University's AI Index report. And each year, for the last few years, Stanford has been publishing this summary of AI thought and where people are at with their thinking. So a few things that surfaced from this one that was published back in April. Just to give you an idea, the Stanford AI Index was released on April 15th, 2024. And in that report, they highlighted some things. For example, this first one here, the progress that AI has made. It beats humans on some tasks, but not on all. Now, famously, when you think of, well, where does AI excel? Well, we've seen that in chess, for example. Uh, if you remember some time ago, the world chess champion was defeated by IBM's Deep Blue computer, and computers have just gotten stronger and stronger since. Other things that AI can do are some pretty routine tasks that can be clearly defined and well automated. So some visual reasoning, image classification are some of the examples that were cited. But where AI trails is in things like computational level mathematics, which requires some training of thoughts and a multidisciplinary approach to some problems. Now, I want you to keep in mind, this was published in the index report back in April 2024. And as I was reviewing my notes for this week, I came across an article published in the New York Times this over the weekend that Google has produced a math reasoning tool, they call it Alpha Proof, that turned in silver medal quality work at this year's International Math Olympiad. So as far as competition level mathematics, check. AI is getting there too. And that's a fascinating thing, particularly for me, because I majored in mathematics in university. So I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive that AI is starting to put together some reasoning and some ability to develop proofs. So the NAP is narrowing. Um, one of the challenges, though, is that the way in which we evaluate our AI tools is a bit of a challenge. Right now, there is no standard evaluation. There's no standard benchmarking. So to say that one AI tool is better than the other uh, it cannot be assessed objectively at this point. This is one of the challenges because these tools are evolving so quickly and are being built so rapidly. No, there hasn't been a standards committee that has said, we expect this level of performance and we expect this level of task. Now, OpenAI has sketched out 5 levels of AI, and they believe that their AI is reaching level 2. Level 1 is some basic responses. Level 2 is conversational. Level 5 would be, of course, human level capability. But that framework hasn't been fully fleshed out yet and widely adopted. So in terms of looking to the AI tools, right now, it still remains a task for every organization to evaluate the tools based on what their needs are. So there's still going to be a lot of work, and again, opportunity for conversation within a company to have people participate and share what their needs are. Here's a third one. Government oversight of AI is increasing. Now, this is a double-edged sword. Like all things government related, we have to have a balanced and nuanced approach to it. On the one hand, it's helpful to have a standard or an objective benchmark to meet. On the other hand, government regulations can occasionally stifle innovation and development. And so, interestingly enough, if we're to look here in the United States, for example, we'd have to go all the way back to 2016 to find any AI-related regulation on the books. But last year, a survey done throughout the U.S. found that there were 25 different AI regulations written around the country, and that's double, or rather up by over 50% from the previous year. So there's more and more attention being paid to the need for regulating AI. India, in fact, a country that has been generally pro-innovation, looking to stay out of overseeing AI, has come to realize that there is the potential for AI to interfere with elections. And so back in March of this year, a government advisory came out to companies out of concern for election meddling. And not only that, but the just showing the idea of innovation here. There's a national strategy for artificial intelligence that was published by the government of India back in June of 2018. So this has been something that's been on India's radar at the government level, and they're encouraging the adoption and the research in AI to, again, improve their R&D, the R&D output and the like. Even the United Nations has gotten into it and weighed in on the importance of using artificial intelligence for the greater good. And this is something we would expect from the UN, but again, it's on their radar. So it's reached the UN in terms of encouraging sustainable development and greater benefit for all mankind. And even perhaps the most famous of legislations in terms of government oversight is the European Union. So the EU has not been shy about creating oversight for technology. A few years back, we had the GDPR Act, which it created some boundaries around users' personal data and their ownership of it. And that created some challenges for tech companies that tech companies rose to, and they adopted it. And the GDPR Act was perhaps one of the early tensions between, or not one of the early, but one of the ongoing tensions between government oversight and free innovation. And so the EU has stepped in with a consumer protection measure, and they're doing something similar to that with the AI Act, which requires some safeguards on general purpose artificial intelligence. It does things like limit the use of biometric identification by law enforcement. The AI Act also is talking about the ethical use of AI data that's collected and used in AI decision making, and also requiring a measure of transparency that if a customer requests an explanation as to why a decision was made using the AI, that the AI be fully explainable. So that back and forth, we're still in this transition period of looking for a good balance between the two. These thoughts are all important because they are shaping the future of work. And knowing that government oversight is going to be a part of it, now when we look at this idea of government oversight, we realize that, you know, part of the future of AI work is not merely technical in nature. Some of it will be legal, and some of it will be procedural, some of it will be business process oriented. And so being able to have a conversation in your current career and your field of expertise as it connects to AI and how it's coming into the marketplace is important. So we're not expecting everybody to have a Mark Zuckerberg level of technical skill. Rather, you have what's the future is going to require is you in your current career being a subject matter expert, understanding how AI relates to your field and how it impacts, and being able to speak to that. Now, it's not all gloom and doom. It's not all procedure and paperwork. Something that people have already come to realize is that AI can make workers more productive. Just like those robots on the assembly line free up workers to, instead of doing the backbreaking work of lifting chassis into place, they can be free to restock parts bins, do quality control, and other tasks related to the process. That's another thing that AI can free us up. There have been times that I've engaged in research, and what would have taken me a dozen different searches with a web search engine, I could just put into a chat bot and say, figure this out for me, or go find me the sources, and it would comb through all of the content it has weaved through and present that to me. Now, again, there is a danger there as well, is that I cannot blindly accept the result of the generative pre-trained transformer. That's what GPT stands for, by the way, and submit that as my own work. In fact, there's a famous incident about a year ago where a lawyer was disbarred for submitting a brief that was written by generative AI. He wrote the prompt, Gen AI spit out the legal brief, and he submitted it to the court without even proofing it. And then when the court called him out on his work, because the issue was that Gen AI fabricated cases as precedent that did not exist, and as a result, he lost his license to practice law, and that's a warning to us all. So again, keep in mind that although it does make us more productive, it is still a tool, and we are responsible for the work. So that's where we need to maintain our connection to our own work and oversight of the tool. This also lets us know if the tool is starting to drift. Recently, I was trying to do some genealogical research, and I asked I asked a question, figuring that maybe the AI had gone through those particular records, and the AI spit out a random date that when I looked into it further, I wasn't entirely sure where that date came from, and the AI couldn't confirm or deny it for me. So that was a bit problematic. So again, there is that realm of productivity. We do get that productivity boost, and it still requires that we check the work. I cannot, in good conscience, say that any AI generated work is good to go on its own. It's always worth checking, because once you submit it, it's no longer the AI, it's you. So do keep that in mind. And as we've mentioned already a couple of times, ethical AI is at the forefront of internal discussions. Wherever we turn, where we go, I mean, the EU's AI Act is evidence of that. The EU is concerned about the ethical use of AI and decided to create some guidelines and get in front of that. Now, I'll say this, is that initially it's not going to be perfect, but at least getting something down gives us a starting point to further fine-tune our AI conversations. And there is a growing concern about the potential misuse of AI. I think the latest one I saw was it was a cute video of world leaders on a fashion runway, and their clothing was representative of something about them, and it was kind of interesting. I'm sure he's not watching this. So, for example, the leader of North Korea was walking down the runway and it had the big letters KIM. I guess, well, in his world, it is all about him. And it was interesting how that, but it was all AI generated because I'm pretty sure Pope Benedict did not do a catwalk anytime in the last, no, ever. So that's where this ethical AI is. We're running a fine line between parody and mock reality, and that's where we see this increasing nervousness towards AI. In fact, last year, over half of survey respondents expressed nervousness towards AI products and services. They're not sure where this is coming from. And that was an increase from about a third in 2022. So we've gone from a third of people surveyed being nervous about AI to over half people surveyed being nervous about AI products and services, uncertain. And so we have to come up with ways to address those. How do we inspire confidence in people, or maybe to back that off a little bit, how do we inspire comfort in the use of AI? And a large part of it is going to be the transparency around the use of AI, the explainability of the decision-making process of AI, the assurance that the data used to pre-train the large language models, or LLMs, and the deep learning that machine learning is run, that all of that is clear and transparent in a way that it includes everyone and allows everyone to see it. But that does take a little bit of time. So do keep that in mind as we go. All right. So just to change things up a bit, I wanted to demonstrate a few little AI tools, and some of them you may have seen before, some of them they haven't. But here's a few that we use. One of them is this read.ai. Now, I should say, full disclosure, I'm not getting a dime in sponsorship fees from any of the tools that I'm showing you right now. I'm simply saying these are tools that I've interacted with, and they do some pretty fun things. Read.ai is a tool that attends your meetings and produces summaries of them. So here is an internal meeting, and this is all pretty generic stuff. But the fact is that read.ai gets invited to the meeting, listens to the meeting, creates a summary of the meeting, identifies who said what and when, assesses the level of interactivity in the meeting, and produces a summary report. And for recurring meetings, prior to the following meeting, sends a recap or a pre-read to get you ready for the next meeting. It's a pretty cool tool, and one worth investigating. And in fact, well, that's okay. I'll just leave that one out. But the point of that is with a lot of these tools, there's a try before you buy. You can some sort of a limited demo. Some of you may have already been playing with ChatGPT, a great way to do some quick research. One of the things that I used ChatGPT for was linguistics is a occasional hobby of mine, and I was pretty curious. List the word coffee in the 50 most widely spoken languages in Africa. I was just curious, and so off we go. And as you list through there, it's like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. And you see that most of them are coffee, 𝗪𝗪. This Berber one, that's new to me. But the one I found interesting was in Ethiopia, they call it 𝗪𝗏. Anyways, short story is, after I did this investigation, there it is also in another Ethiopian language, 𝗪𝗏, is in Ethiopian, the name of the bush on which the bean grows is called the 𝗪𝗏 bush. So where does the word coffee come from? Well, as the story goes of the Ethiopian goat herders that discovered coffee's stimulant capabilities, that bush was growing in the Kaffa region. So when those beans arrived in Yemen to ship around the world, they were labeled as kaffa beans, having come from the Kaffa region of Ethiopia. And by the way, the port from which that sailed in Yemen, the name of the port in Yemen is Mocha. So now you know where we get our words for coffee and mocha. But that was something that just turned up. So it's a great way to go through. There's another tool out there, Claude, a similar one. And just by comparison, if I were to take the exact same prompt, in fact, I'll do this. I'll just do a copy and paste. Really? There we go. And submit the same prompt. All right. I get similar answers. But interestingly, I asked for 50 and it only gave me 20. So it just shows me that the tools are a little bit different. So Read AI is one tool. These chat tools are, again, another one. But what about if you're a creative type? Well, there's another tool. This one called Beethoven, or Beethoven, certainly a play on the composer, is one where you can enter in the prompt indicating the style of music you like, and it will generate soundtracks that you can then use and download. And the nice thing about this is that you can then use them royalty-free for projects that you're working on, or whatever the licensing agreement is. Beethoven is one. There are many others. Even something like Copilot. This is another tool that generative tool that's out there that you can use and ask it to do something for you. So if I wanted to, I'm feeling like a little prince. So 𝗪𝗪𝗂 un mouton. Draw me a sheep. I'm going to put that in French. And je vais essayer de créer cela. It's going to try to create that. And in a moment, there's my picture of a sheep. All right. So there you have it. So these tools are pretty cool. Now, something else I could show you is if I were to take this table, this list in display above as table. Now I get a better view of it, and I can then copy and paste that. But anyways, there are all kinds of AI tools, whether it's meeting assistants, generative tools, creative tools. At the end of the day, it's a matter of assessing them, making sure that you can do what you need to do. And don't be afraid. A lot of these tools do come with free access. All the ones that I've demonstrated are free versions of the tool. So if this is something you haven't begun to explore, I encourage you to get out there and look at some of these tools. And there are literally hundreds more. But think about some of the tasks that you would like to automate, some calendar management, some email inbox management, the meeting assistant. I think that read.ai is a great one. There's another one out there, 𝗪𝗪𝗁, which you can feed it a script and it will create a video with an avatar reading your script back to you. And you can choose any one of a number of different languages. In fact, let me just, that was over here. Yeah, I think 𝗪𝗪𝗁 software company. Yeah. And this is one of several, but turn text to video in minutes. And there you have it. And you can, it says there it's ready to go in 130 languages. So that's pretty impressive as well, is that if you are working for a multinational company and you need to produce tutorial videos across multiple languages, you can write the scripts and they have the voices and the avatars recorded. And you're not hearing anything because I have it muted, But another tool that, again, there's an opportunity for you just to play with and create a free demo and go on. Again, I do not get a dime in commissions from anything I've showed you. This is merely just an opportunity for you to see the power of AI tools and how it can save a lot of work. So the reality is here. AI is here, and that's what we want to do. So how do we go forward? And I think this is the greater concern that we have. One thing we have to do is we have to address the reality that the AI skills gap has to be addressed. There's no two ways about it. Just like when robotics were introduced, we had to train people on how to operate the robots. We had to train people on how to install the robots. We had to train people on how to maintain the robots. The same thing is going to happen here with AI. We're going to need to train people on how to install AI or train up their models. We're going to have to train people on how to create good ethical boundaries around it, train people on how to operate the AIs and how to maintain them. So when we look at some of the surveys that have been done in the last few months, things like 70% of workers needing to upgrade their IT skills, or here's one that I think is highly concerning. It says there are 17% of organizations are actively trying to address a skills gap. All right, that's 1 in 6. 1 in 6 organizations is addressing the skills gap. Here's the bigger concern. Pair that with this next stat. 82% of workers see lack of training as a potential reason for switching jobs. I have been in the training industry long enough to have seen this validated over and over, both in my personal life as lives of thousands of others, is that it is far less expensive for an organization to train and retain their existing people than it is to let them go and hire their replacements. Just the recruiting process alone takes months. And then the organizational knowledge that goes out the door with the previous person isn't there with the new hire. And so investing in your current workforce is the way forward. I find it laughable on when I see a job posting. I need somebody with 5 years of experience in AI. There aren't too many of those, or 10 years experience with AI. Yeah, you're looking for like cream of the crop researchers that are probably working for research companies. So realistically, we have to develop that talent, because by and large, it doesn't exist in the free market right now. So knowing that and knowing the importance of getting people trained up is key. And that's where that training and certification comes in. We want to make sure that that people are actively, you're either actively working on building an AI-powered solution, or you're going to be using AI tools in your current job role. It's going to be one of the two. And either way it goes, there's always going to be a governance component to it. Now, this idea of governance as related to AI is nothing new. Other technologies that have been implemented over the years have required some kind of a governance over them. Whether you're implementing some sort of a CRM tool, there has to be a governance committee on deciding how your customer relationship data goes into the tool, who's overseeing it, who's ensuring that accounts don't lapse, who's monitoring the activity. So, or if you've deployed SharePoint, anybody that's had to go through a SharePoint deployment knows about the governance issues. So anytime a technology solution is introduced, there is a how are we going to use it conversation that needs to take place. And unless we are trained up and know what AI is capable of, what's out there currently, we're not really going to do well in the execution of it. And so when we figure out how we're going to go about that, well, I'd ask the question, well, what skills are you looking to acquire? Because it is multifaceted. You are going to have some people that are going to actually be building that. Those are going to be your technologists, but they're going to be directed by the HR team and the C-suite as to what it is that we want to receive. So we have to define the deliverables at the end of an AI initiative. There's another a huge area in AI is big data management. Big data has been a buzzword for a couple of decades now, and we've just been acquiring data and acquiring it. And it wasn't until we had so much we didn't know what to do with it, we couldn't manage it, that new technologies emerged around big data. So tools, the big tools out there, I mean, you can go up to Azure, Oracle, Hadoop. There are a number of tools out there for managing big data, but a career in big data is going to be useful in this upcoming AI era, because data is the fuel for the AI solution. What AI needs in order to be able to do what it does in terms of either decision making or generation is work off of a data set. And so the more data we feed it, the better it is. So big data management is a skill set that's going to be required in the future. Another one is security. Cybersecurity has been a big topic of conversation, but as it pertains to AI, securing the data, securing the models, securing the tools that access the data, all of those security requirements are still going to be there in an AI future. And then ask the question, how are we going to validate those skills and recognize them? There are a lot of vendors out there that have training solutions for their products, and you can go to their websites and train up on a specific tool or technology, and that's all well and good. And that's going to be an important part of your solution going forward. But when we ask the question, stepping back a little bit and say, all right, overall, how can I have a conversation that focuses on my organization first? And that's the value proposition of what we offer here at AI CERTs. So having said all that, I do want to just spend a couple moments describing for you that we at AI CERTs understand that this future is here and it's now. And so we have looked to help to address that by stepping into the AI skills gap and recognizing that we, as a vendor agnostic company, we're not providing a vendor-based solution. We want to provide a business solution. We want to help you have those good AI-related conversations. And to do that, we want to focus on the different roles within an organization, knowing that it's going to be a culture of lifelong learning that's going to help you succeed going forward in the AI revolution. We've built up a pretty good portfolio, and our goal is to certify 1 billion people around the world with AI tools. So just to take a look here, and again, I want to thank you for your attention, but check out our website here at aicerts.io, and find out that we are about AI and blockchain certifications. The idea is that we want to come alongside you and say, yes, you've taken the time to learn about AI. You are certified to have those conversations because you've invested in yourself. And we have a number of certifications. So our starting point is the AI executive, AI Plus executive, and this is to help business leaders and business decision makers have those conversations. There's a corresponding AI Plus everyone. There's also an AI Plus ethics and an AI Plus prompt engineer. And then as we look at the different roles like AI Plus security and how AI is going to impact the cybersecurity roles within an organization, or the cloud results. Even here in the business world, AI Plus ethics, AI Plus legal. If you're in those job roles in the HR world, be prepared to have those conversations. AI Plus ethics is a great one-day conversation starter. So for these professional, these are for the professional series. These are one-day events that you can contact our partners and find a partner. And we are global. We've got partners all around the world willing to help you forward on your AI journey. So thank you for that. And at this point, I'm sure there may be some questions. So let me, Rahul, I'm going to flip back over to you and ask if we have any questions to answer.
I mean, Kalaf, thank you so much for your time. I would be very honestly telling you this, that the kind of sessions that you have taken in terms of making us understand about from customer service to autonomous vehicles, and to what is the magnitude of impact on every job role it will have in the in the coming years and in the current era as well. I think I'm actually impressed by that, the way you have explained it. I think even a layman can understand this. Before I even actually get into any questions, I keep on meeting a lot of C-level executives, and I come across a lot of questions which is related to AI, since AI is a buzzword in the current scheme of things. I actually wanted to understand from your end. I mean, there are a lot of policies that keeps on changing basis how government decides to operate in a particular country with respect to AI, right? So just one question that I have in my mind before I ask, I'm just curious to understand this, so I'm just trying to take it from you. How organizations can prepare their employees, for an AI powered future, from someone who's already working into an organization. How, from an organization perspective, how they can get help and how they can actually be proactively prepared for something like this.
That's a great question. Because the changes are coming so quickly, the sooner that an organization can designate someone to be at least an AI point person until you can get a group of people together for that governance conversation. What we're looking at, though, is the nucleus of a team that will champion AI. And that team would be responsible for keeping up with, like you said, the government regulations that are changing very quickly, other developments in the industry, being able to go through a 500-page PDF from Stanford University, that's how big that AI index is, and be able to understand what is happening and then connect it to what are the needs of the organization. So the first step I would advise any organization is to come up with that AI governance team. You can call it whatever you want, but the goal of that team is to be that connecting point for your organization so that we can understand what's happening outside, how it impacts us, and then how we're going to share that out. That team then forms the basis then of those other training efforts, recognizing that based on job role, that we would need to bring people up to speed so that all my decision makers would, and again using our certifications as an example, baselining them with, say, an AI plus executive certification. So I know that everybody has been brought into the conversation and they can begin connecting their respective department needs with what AI can do, and start to talk about, well, can we offload some of this work, some of this tedious work, so that I can free somebody up to be more creative, or get them more customer facing as opposed to more report writing, that type of thing. But it's going to start with creating that team that can pull together this. And interestingly enough, because it's such a high volume of data out there, guess what would help process all of that? Exactly, using AI to boil it down so that we can distill it. And there's another tool I didn't show, but effectively it creates, it goes through the news of the day and creates a custom podcast for you, so you can have an AI voice read to you what has happened in the world over the last 24, 48 hours. And that's a great way for you to catch up. So again, this is just an exciting time for sure.
All right. All right. Thank you so much, Kalaf, for that. So, Kalaf, when I'm going on to chat, I'm able to see one question that is popping up right now. Most of the organizations do not have AI infra ready. How these courses will help me when there is no practical use in my day-to-day job? So, essentially, the question is, if the companies are, or the organizations are not AI ready with respect to the infrastructure, how are these courses going to help them in their day-to-day job?
Well, that's a great question. I am not an advocate of training simply because it's there. And I agree with the person asking the question is, if I'm going to invest in training, where will I see the value? Now, not knowing too much about the organization, what I will say is this, is that if the organization is later to adopt AI, then when they finally do, they're going to need people who have kept up with the conversation. Because if you wait, just as an example, if you wait 6 months or 12 months to begin an AI initiative, that's 6 or 12 months more of the AI conversation you need to catch up on. So that's one part of it. The other part is that the individual person can see this as an investment in themselves. So if your organization isn't ready, you can get ready ahead of that so that when your organization is ready, you can be one of the leaders to step up into the new role that they identify. So in other words, you can get ahead of your company or organization, knowing that
All right.
eventually they
I
will
agree.
have to address it. I mean, yeah, if I think 40 years ago, there were still people doing accounting using paper ledgers. And the very early adopters were using electronic spreadsheet programs. Now, today, everybody takes Excel for granted. And a
Correct.
similar transition will happen with AI.
Right. So apparently, I think I have one more question, which is how to become a partner and what will be the backup support to the partner. I mean, I think there are organizations or maybe training companies who are already attending this, so they wanted to partner with AI certs. What is the
Mhm.
process and what are the backend support that we will be able to give it to them if you would like to take it up?
Right. That is wonderful. What I'll do is this, with regards to those that are interested in partners, there is a link on our website if you are interested in becoming an authorized training partner that you can click on the link and submit a form. Or better still, if you want to reach out to me, it's my first name at aicerts.io. I'll just put that on the screen right now. All right.
Absolutely.
At aicerts.io. And if you are interested in becoming an authorized training partner, just put in the subject line ATP, and I will connect you with the people that oversee our authorized training partner program and get you started on that. With regard to back-end support, we have all the tools to partner with training organizations. The people leading our ATP program have decades of experience in training companies and partner programs. And we've built out an infrastructure to support training partners to help them have the best experience possible delivering uh, training solutions for their customers.
Great, great, great. I think Kalaf, the way you have explained it, from the business professional series to the technology courses that we have from AI certs perspective. If you talk about law, healthcare, government, and then you talk about technology, which is data science, security, how AI is going to impact all these job roles. I think it's immense to understand this, and it's great to hear from you. So I would really, I think I do not have a lot of questions out in chat. These were the two basic questions, and then I had one question of mine. So first of all, I would like to thank you for addressing all those questions and taking out time for us. I'd really like to thank our audience as well for their participation and their engaging questions as well. We hope I really hope that this is just the beginning right now. We have a series of webinar in August, September, October. Please go onto our website, check our website, and then you'll be able to see the upcoming events as well. Right. So before I even conclude, I would want to remind all of you that there is going to be a small survey right after we end this call. We would want you to be honest about it and put it across your thoughts into it. Yeah, I think this is pretty much from our end. I mean, whatever you guys have asked, I think what how the way you have explained it, Kalaf, I think this is commendable. I think you have gone to really in the roots of from the inception of how AI and to how it is going to impact life, or the job roles specifically. I would say it is something that really has given me at least a 3,000 feet view of how AI or the future of AI is going to be. So thank you so much for that, and I really appreciate your time. I appreciate the time that our audiences have spent on this particular webinar. So yeah, I would say thank you for this. Lovely evening, I would say, because I'm in India, and yeah, great day ahead to everyone. Yeah.
My pleasure, Rahul. Thank you again, and thank you everyone for making the time. And look forward to seeing you again soon in another webinar or somewhere else. Take
Yep.
care.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys.